Hey guys, welcome to my second video. In this video I'm going to be looking at drawing the male head using the graphics tablet on Mypaint again, specifically a tribal warrior. Seems a bit random, I know, but I got this idea from a book from Steve Beaumont, I think it is pronounced. I will give you the description, a link to the book in the description box. The book is How to Draw Fantasy Art. It just shows you, I think, about 12 characters, giving you tips on how to draw them. Some really good information though. So I got this character from the book, with Steve's permission of course, to use this in a video. So if you do like what you see, be sure to check out the book. I think it cost me about £4, and there's a lot of information in it, and so for £4 you can't really go wrong. Definitely worth checking out. Right, so the brushes I am using in this video, and I'll give you a quick description for each one, are you can see them on the right hand side depending on what quality you're watching this video back in. But the B pencil, which I use in my first layer of basically any drawing I've done in Mypaint so far, using it just to sketch out the rough, just sketching out an outline basically. The harder you press on, it does leave a darker mark, and it's pretty useful. Second one on there is the mix tool. I use this mainly for creating a shadow, but using colour to do so. So not just a black, dark shadow, but for using a darkened colour each time. You'll hopefully be able to see what I mean by that in the video. I've got the fill tool, which I think in one of my other videos I called it an ink tool. And I've noticed other people call it the marker tool. That is really good for putting on colour, for your base colour. You can use any colour with it, but it's not affected, like a lot of the other tools. How hard you press on your graphics tablet with the pen is not affecting the colour, just the size of the brush. So what else have we got on there? I've got the blend tool up on there, but I don't actually use that because I'm not too fond of it. Got the blur tool up though, which I actually use to blend. It just seems to work really well. You'll see later on in the video again when I've got a couple of different colours up for the shading. It works really well for blending them all in together. I've got the big airbrush, which I'm using now, as you can see, to outline everything. But you really have to, you can use this brush for quite a few things, but you really have to play around with the settings of the brush, depending on what you're using it for. Like at the moment it's got quite a hardened edge, and it's quite a small size compared to its original for outlining. But you will actually see me use it in a separate layer later on for quite a hard, dark shadow. You'll see what I mean when it gets to it. We've got the eraser stick on there. I used this in the first video, so a lot of you will have seen this on the eyes. And I use it again in this video on the eyes, just to add some reflection to them. But it's amazing how well it works, especially if you adjust the tool options. If you soften the edge a lot, it works really well. It gives a really good effect of light reflecting back off the eyes. And I think that is all the tools we've got on there. I'm going to touch quickly on drawing out the eyebrows, like I've just done there. You might have noticed I actually spent an awful lot of time on them because I kept making mistakes. Once you're using a tool and you hold down the shift button on your keyboard and touch anywhere again, it automatically draws a straight line between the 2 points, which worked well in giving me the shape of the eyebrows. And you can tell on the right one that I've used that, or his left one, but it actually gave me a lot more trouble than it was in terms of being helpful. And I ended up having to round it all off a lot more, and it just would have been a lot easier to just do freehand, so I actually regret that. I also just had to redo the eyes several times because I got the positioning very wrong. But it worked out well in the end. So here with the lips, I used a very similar colour to the skin, but I tried to make it slightly different. Just on the colour wheel in the top right hand corner of the screen, I tried to just turn it slightly towards the red side, just so that I still wanted to blend in with the skin, not look too ridiculous like he's wearing lipstick, giving bright red lips. So that was the best option. Here, I started on the hair. This is something, this I kind of made up a bit as I went because I've not attempted hair before, and I wasn't really sure how this would work out. But I just followed the same way as with the face, starting off outlining with the big airbrush, and then adding a base colour to it with the inking tool, the fill tool, and just progressively adding a darker shade of the same colour to certain bits, finding out what worked, and just adding a darker layer at a time until I got the desired effect. It actually worked out pretty well. It worked out even better when I finish off the sketch with another layer of shading, but you'll see that in time. With the layers in the bottom right corner, you can see at this point I'm on 4 layers. By the end of it, I think I'm on about 6 or 7 layers or something. You don't need to do this, as a lot of you will know who use the program. It's just the way it worked out for me. When I wasn't too sure about doing something, I will do it on a new layer, just in case it goes wrong. I haven't spoiled the rest of it. One of the most important layers I used, though, to finish it off was a shading layer, which you will see any second now. It really adds the final detail, especially around the eyes and stuff. At this point, I'm just doing the colour around the eye, giving the iris a bit of detail. But coming up, you will see me use the eraser stick, sort of blending into a few layers, and just to give the reflection, as I mentioned earlier. Here you can see I'm doing the shading now, taking some of the layers off, just neatening the hair up, mainly the black outline, because it was a very rough sketch when I did it. And when you zoom this far in, you can actually see there are a lot of mistakes. You know, it's not the neatest line ever. That's something that I struggled with more than anything else. But when you zoomed out, it looks a lot better anyway. For working on the shading layer, I used the big airbrush, but I did adjust the settings a lot because I wanted a much softer sort of feel to it, so I could ease into the shading. You don't want any hard edges on that. You've got to adjust the radius of the brush as well. The larger you have the radius of the brush, the softer it seems to make the edge. So that does come in very handy. Here you can see I'm actually starting to do a scar. Nothing fancy, just giving the tribal warrior some wounds. Just literally using the big airbrush again, but using a smaller radius, sharper edge, more hardened edge, should I say. And this was one of the more difficult things, sketching out the tattoo. Placing where it wanted to be was fine, because it's only a very basic design, quite literally some lines. But getting the tip of each tattoo that sharp was very difficult. But it actually turned out okay anyway. You can see now down the right hand side, bottom right hand side, I've got about 7 or 8 layers. I'm showing you here just what each individual layer looks like, just to show you what I had at this point. My final image is all the layers showing, aside from the original sketch layer, of course. And there it is. I really hope you like this, guys. It took me about 4 hours. If you want to see more, be sure to like and subscribe and comment in the box below. Thanks, guys.